Well, good evening, Liberal Kansas, and welcome to the election night coverage show here at the High Plains Leader and Times. It is past 7 o'clock. The polls are now closed, and so no matter what we say, we can't influence anybody's vote.
That's right. That's right.
So you can't hurt anything.
Can't hurt anything. Can't make you go vote for anybody. You're too late.
So the polls just closed here in Seward County. We're going to find out. It's probably going to be at least 45 minutes to an hour. I talked to Seward County Clerk Stacia Long earlier today, and that's kind of what she's projecting, but you never know how that goes. You can run into a problem with the machine. We might even be able to get the numbers here from Liberal elections, and then when they get the election results from Kismet, we'll be able to announce those. But we should be able tonight be able to announce you who is going to be on the Liberal City Commission, the Kismet Commission, USD 480 here in Liberal, USD 483 over in Kismet, Southwestern Heights, and the Seward County Community College Board of Trustees.
You know, there was one more on the ballot that I didn't realize it was going to be on there, was for the Extension Council.
Yep.
Board. I didn't realize those. I knew all three that were running for that, but I didn't realize they were on there till I got down to the bottom of the ballot. Oh, wow, that was kind of a surprise. So
the Wild West District.
Yep.
And as you see right here, you'll see scrolling right in front of us right here, the coverage tonight is brought to you by these sponsors. So we definitely want to thank them for helping make this possible for you tonight, so we can get this coverage to you. And I tell you, now that the polls are closed. Now they're down to the counting. What issues do you think? Let's just start with the city commission. You know, usually you would think that you would have a little more controversy, but that's got to say something good for the incumbents if there isn't anything that causes any kind of controversy. When you looked at that race, how do you measure that one up?
Yeah, well, I think this is the first time in a long time that about all of the candidates agreed during the forum on about any of the questions that were asked. There wasn't much controversy. I know in years past why, there's been some opposition to different ones and all of that. But this go round, but I think a lot of that has to do with the transparency that the city has been providing. They've been very free and open to what's happening and what they're planning on doing or what they'd like to do and those kind of things. So I say I don't know that there will be. I guess there'll be one new one on the city commission. There's a possibility there could be three, but the only thing I know for sure there will be one replace Chris Leonardberger, who decided not to run again. But as far as the opposition and all of that, there just pretty much wasn't any. I think they're all on the same page, and it seemed like about everybody that was running the challengers were all on the same page. So not much controversy in the city race, but there's a lot of people, which is really good to see. Sometimes we kind of struggle to get enough candidates to even fill the empty seats. Well, this time we got a lot more than that because we got to go through a primary before the general. So, I think that shows that people are interested in their community and they're willing to, announce their candidacy to run and try to fill that one empty seat and maybe one of the other two.
And we just want everyone to know, if you feel inclined, you can certainly come on down to the office and watch us live. You'll be right here when we get the results. You'll get the results. You can continue to watch us online as well. We appreciate that. We see a nice size audience gathering with us here this evening, and so hunker down, join in, grab your popcorn, and we will be with you with the results as soon as they come in. You talk about the city, and like I said, I don't think that there was any specific issue that people could take umbrage with, that they can say, I can't believe they made this decision or that decision. And so that usually favors the incumbent. So if you have to project it now that it's over, you can't be right or wrong, you can't influence anyone's votes. What's your thoughts?
Oh, I don't know. I would say that probably, I don't know, this is really a wild guess, but I'd say probably the incumbents will stay where they are. And then as to who, there was some tough competition for that open seat, and who will fill that, I don't know. I know Richard Wester worked really hard, Matt Landry. I didn't know Matt until, although he's been around here for 15, 17 years, I didn't really know him until got acquainted during one of the forums. He did run a good campaign. I don't know, they all did. So I don't know who fills that empty seat. I just don't know. It could be Matt, it could be Richard, it could be any of those people. I don't know.
Well, coming into the election night, if you look at the primary results, Landry was sitting in that third spot after the primary. Now, there were 600 votes cast in that. You had Kathleen Alonso, Richard Wester. You also had Greg Duran, I believe, was in that fourth spot. Yeah. And I've just got to say, just recently, just within the last couple of days, I saw Greg Duran's signs back out. He had signs in the primary, and then they went away, and that's not unusual, but he didn't make it over to the forum, and then he wasn't, and then, like I say, not much of a presence until just the last couple of days. What do you think that affects someone's campaign?
Oh, yeah, sure. I think it certainly does. We've had those kind of experiences before that, usually the people that don't show up to the forum, lessens their chances by quite a bit. And I think, I don't know why Greg didn't, come over to the forum. Maybe he was busy that night. I don't know. Apparently he was, but I don't know exactly what was going on. But I'm kind of like you. Just the last few days, I began seeing a few signs, around of his again. So I don't know, but I think they all, should be and need to be congratulated for a job well done. I know there was a lot of them. I mentioned that this morning. We had a few door hangers on the door. People, I think John Engel had one, and gosh, I don't remember who those other. There's 3 or 4 of them anyway. And anyway, I kidded John. I seen him later, and he said, "So that's where you live? I didn't know you lived there." So that's kind of like when we moved to town. I knew about everybody on our block because I knocked on those doors several times in past years doing that door knocking. So you kind of learn where people live.
So let's take a look then over at the school election here in Liberal USD 480. You had 8 candidates and 4 seats available. 3 of them are going to be new because 3 incumbents did not run again. Yep. So that opens up those seats. I believe it was Stu Cobble didn't run, Kathy Fitzgerald and Naomi Vargas. Yeah. Those 3 opted not to run again, so that means you're going to have for sure 3 new school board members. You had Mike Brock, who is an incumbent, and he is running, and see if he retains his seat. But what do you think the issues were for the school?
Well, to be quite blunt, I think it was, transparency. There was a lot of people wanted to know what was going on. During COVID, there was some questions about why they're doing this, why they're doing that, why they're making those kids mask up, various things like that. And I kind of think people remember that, but I think the main thing, and that was one of the questions over there at one of the forums, was about wasn't exactly transparency. I can't remember how they worded it, but do you remember what that was? It was something
about veil of secrecy.
Yeah, veil of secrecy. And so, I think that kind of is perhaps bothered some of the, it could have bothered those 3 that decided not to run. I don't know. I haven't talked to any of them. I don't have any idea why they didn't run. But, I know some of them were just been on there for one term, and maybe they had other things to do. I don't know. But But anyway, but I think, just the transparency part, and then, something that kind of bothered me a little bit was that the chain of command. Well, if you've got this problem, you have to go to that person, and if you've got that problem, you need to go to this person. But none of them ever involved the school board, it didn't seem to me. It was always somebody other than that, and I think maybe, I don't know whether I'm the only one that really bothered or not, but it kind of did me, because sometimes chain of command works, and sometimes the reason for a chain of command is to protect somebody else, and so I don't know exactly, but I think that's something that maybe others took heed to, and so I don't know. I think as far as who's going to take that, I just have a feeling that Brad Carr's going to be the top vote getter. I don't know why, but I think he started early, and he worked really hard at it. And I know when they had that first meeting about what was going on at the school board and CRT or whatever it was now, I can't remember.
CKLA.
Yeah, CKLA. He was kind of one of the leaders of that group that started, the questions. But I just think Brad's probably going to be your top vote getter. I could be wrong. I think Mike's going to run strong. Those would be my top two picks, as far as Mike's the incumbent, and Brad's going to be new, but that's kind of where I see that. As for the third seat, I don't know. It's going to be a close race for that third one, I think.
Well, and when you look at these type of elections, it's the one thing I'm sure that Stacia would like there to be plenty of distance between 3, 4, and 5, so that there's no questions. Don't have to count provisionals or recount.
Yep.
In this. But when you look at and I just want to say to you guys joining us tonight, nice crowd. We appreciate everybody tuning in. If you have a question, just post it on here, and we'll see if we can address it for you while we're waiting to get the final results for you here. But when you look at what's going on with the school, I think when those parents started to question CKLA and they had their own meetings and invited the public to come, that's usually a sign of what is this board going to do? And then the public, I think, will react accordingly. And maybe that's why some of them decided not to run. I don't know. But when you have a situation like that where parents are getting together to discuss curriculum and have concerns, I think that's where re-electing a school board could be trouble. Or it could be that people are just being a vocal minority. But in this case, I just didn't get that feel. These people were doing it respectfully. They weren't throwing bombs at the district or throwing bombs at anyone in particular. They were trying to do exactly what you said earlier. They were following the chain of command. My question is, blindly following chain of command doesn't always get you to the right outcome. You just follow. If that process isn't a good process, it's just going to lead you to a rubber stamp solution. Yep. And I'm not saying that's what happened here. I'm saying it can happen if you're just blindly following the steps. And if it always ends up that nothing ever changes, then I question the process. Because if parents are showing up concerned about something and your solution is do nothing, that's usually when you see a lot of changeover at a board. And that's where I think maybe the school board found itself. Of course, you're going to have change because 3 decided not to run. So, you mentioned Brad. I saw Baeza. He was at some of those meetings, and he voiced his concerns.
I forgot about him. He did run a good strong race, and I've seen a lot of his signs out. And I know he was pretty active in the Republican Party. He attended all of the meetings that I went to, but I forgot about him. So, but he could be the number 3 guy, or he could be 1 or 2. But I think probably 2 or 3.
You think he's in that? He'll get over the bar, top 4?
I think so.
Missy's asking who didn't run, and Missy, the three that didn't run, Kathy Fitzgerald, Naomi Vargas, and Stu Cobble. Those three just chose not to run, and that's up to them. They sometimes, I think for Naomi and Kathy, I think this was their first 4-year term. But you've been there, and you start serving, and you say, this takes a little more than I thought.
Yep.
And maybe also, and I'm not saying this is the case in this either, but maybe also say, I don't know if this is worth it.
Yeah. Yeah.
At least you at the county got a little check. The school board gets no check.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 100% just your heart. You're just giving your heart and your time, and you think, is it worth it? I mean, I'm sure that they took some heat on decisions over the time. No matter what you decide, there's going to be someone upset about it. So, how about that? We just got B here in the studio, so I want to welcome B in, and so B, the polls are closed. You were a volunteer out there all day. How do you measure up everything that was happening out at the activity center today?
It was pretty steady all day, which was kind of nice. A little bit more than I expected that showed up, so that was a good thing. I was going to say it was 1567, but I didn't want to give Jim any big head. It was a little over 1,600 people, so and that's unofficial, but it may be more than that. So could be between 1,600 and 1,700 total. So not a bad turnout compared to what we had for the primaries. I was excited about that.
Yeah.
Okay, so he said 1657.
I thought it was 1567.
I got 1657. I got it written down. I said 1,600. So, we got bragging rights here to see who's going to get closest to that number. And
it may be Jim. I hate to say that, but
well, and if it
well,
is,
I'm glad you came.
You're both right in the ballpark, so that's good.
That means a lot of people came in after 10 o'clock, because I was out there this morning, and Stacia told me about 700 total by 10 o'clock. So that means at least another 900 voted since then.
There was I think the number that she was giving you, though, did not count advance voting, I think. So I'm not real sure. I'm not sure about that, so don't quote me. But it was the afternoon it got busy and stayed steady for a long time. It was like I couldn't sit down hardly for 2 seconds. So, because I like to chat with people, so I was up and visiting and chatting, and that was the fun part of it. So I really enjoyed that. And people were great. There was a couple of people that were upset, but that's okay. That happens no matter what. So, but it was all good. It's all good.
Usually if someone's upset, does that mean they showed up and they wanted to vote, but they weren't registered, and they just found out right then and there? You can't be same-day registration. You have to register ahead of time.
There were several that came in. I think I talked to Daisy. She said it was 15 or so that came in that weren't registered, and they had one immigrant that came in that wanted to vote that couldn't, of course. But that was, I can say they were upset. They just were disappointed that they couldn't vote.
Did they let them go ahead and vote and then put that in an envelope as a provisional
that I don't
ballot?
know. That was on the other side. So
I think maybe that's what they do.
Sometimes
they let them go ahead and vote,
but they can't count.
Yeah, and then at the board of canvass, whoever sits on that has to determine if those votes will be counted or not. And I don't. Well, they won't, because it's state law that if you're not registered, you can't vote. But I guess you can vote, but they won't count your vote.
Right. I know that's what they have done in the past. I can't say today because I wasn't over there, and I didn't ask too many questions at that point, so I was tired.
So B, I know that in the primary you said that there were some people who were a little iffy about even knowing names on the ballot. How did you get a feel today? Were people a little more knowledgeable about who they were voting for, or at least that they came in, maybe they were friends or relatives of a candidate or something like that? Or what kind of feel did you get today for the knowledge base of the electorate?
I talked to several and asked about the candidates. I ask questions. I don't be specific, of course I can't, but there were a number, and not a large number, but a good number of people that voted because of names. Somebody's told them to vote that way, or they just weren't sure, so they just voted. And I'm like, I always want to say, I wish I could say, well, if you don't know, don't vote. But you can't, but it was,
As someone at the polling place said, they'd probably frown on that, wouldn't
yeah,
they?
they get a little upset about that. So. And we had one that voted for the grandson, so I can't say who that was either, but they did vote for the grandson, so but that's a good thing. At least they knew him.
Yeah.
That was the positive thing.
Yeah, yeah. And so when you are visiting with people and they're turning in, how do they feel about the process? Everybody feel good about it? The machine's working, everything? No one had any problems with how it happened?
You always have a good group of folks that think that the ballots are screwed up, that then they come up and put it in the ballot box and say, was that the shredder? I had that comment a half a dozen times or more today. It doesn't matter how you vote, the numbers are gonna be skewed whether way they want them, and so you always have that number of people that do that. But that's okay. Everyone's a skeptic in most cases when it comes to elections, and probably more so in the last 3 years than it's ever been.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Well, and the good thing about the way that they're done here in Kansas, at least here in Seward County, the machine, when you vote on the machine, and this is one thing Stacia told me today, and I think this is a good point. And I think Stacia may have helped me figure out, we had an issue with a church election, and I think I figured out why with our discussion today. But let's take the city race. There, what do we have? 6 candidates and 3, and you pick 3, right?
Yeah.
Right.
What would happen if on a paper ballot? What if you filled in 4 ovals?
I think that would probably void that vote for
disqualified.
city commission. I
It
think
does.
It would, yeah.
But if a human isn't looking at that and just is checking, okay, here's you could miss that.
Yeah.
The machine will never miss that.
Right.
Because it will only let you select 3.
Yeah, and if you only vote for 2 in a 4 race, or 3 in a 4 race or something like that, at the end when you push the done button, it'll show who you voted for, and it'll also show you that you had an undervote
Right.
on whatever category it was, and you can go back and change that.
Which
So-
you could say, oh, okay, I thought I only could pick 2.
Yeah.
And you can go back at that point. The
Right.
computer will still give you that chance. But
Yeah.
what it will not allow you to do is pick
Overvote.
4.
Yeah.
It's impossible to overvote with a machine.
Yeah.
Correct.
But with a paper ballot, it is possible to overvote. Kelly's asking, why was political party not on the ballots? Kelly, there was an attempt at the legislature to do that, but it was overridden by the governor's veto, and they couldn't get enough votes to overcome that. But what they try to do is make it voluntary. So any candidate who says, yeah, I want my political affiliation by my name, that you'd have that option. But the state legislature on these nonpartisan races opted to not put that, well, they tried to get it passed, but it was vetoed. So that's why political party is not on these ballots for city commission, school board, and the college board of trustees. Those are considered nonpartisan races, and so, but if you want to see that on there, you need to talk to your state representative and state senator and say you would like to see that option. It wasn't even something that would be required. So if you wanted to just not share your party affiliation, you still could have done that. But if you wanted to share it, it was going to become an option for you to do it. But they were thumbed down by the governor on that and couldn't override her veto. So that's why.
Well, I know there was some interest in that, because I talked to a few people that wanted to know who the Republicans were and who the Democrats were. So there was some interest in party affiliation.
Yep.
And that wasn't on there. But about the only thing that you could do, I guess, is rely on. I know the Republican Party ran several ads on media, and I don't know whether on Facebook, but I know they listed the Republican candidates, even though there wasn't on the ballot as such, but they did put the names of the candidates that were Republicans. And I don't know exactly what the Democrats did, but they could have done something similar to that. I don't know.
Well, and there's voting strategies. I was talking with some folks about that a little bit today. I mean, if let's say you're a family member or someone, we're talking about overvoting or undervoting. Well, first of all, it's impossible to overvote with the machine. It just will not let you click a third. If there's only 3, it will not let you click a 4th one. It simply will not let you do it. So that's an advantage of the machines, where you could make the mistake and fill in an oval on the other one. We had a church election, even though we only had like 30 ballots, we had more votes cast than there were than there were totals, and I think that's why. And we didn't look at it for that, but I think it's because we like you were supposed to pick 2, and someone was filling in 3.
Yep.
You know, didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings, and there were 3 on the ballot, so you just fill them all in. But that screws up the ballot.
Yep.
Because if you do that, that whole ballot should be thrown out. Because which one of the 3 do you disqualify?
Right.
You can't. So I was saying that there's a good thing about the way we do it here is, first of all, the machine's going to tally that. But you're going to get a printout. You get your little printout, and it shows you, and you can look at that and say, yes, that's exactly how I voted.
Yep.
And then you go turn that in. Well, they collect all of those. So if ever they wanted to do a paper recount, they could do that.
They have it.
They have it. Yeah. They can do a paper recount. They can check the machines. The machines are also audited so that they have to randomly pick a couple of machines and a couple of races every election cycle and say, okay, let's check this versus the papers that were for that machine and make sure that they're jiving 100%. So I think that the system in Kansas is a good system.
Yeah.
And,
Especially in Seward County.
Yeah, in Seward County for sure. And
well, we felt safe just because you was there looking out for us.
I appreciate
Besides that, it gives us somebody to talk to on the way out the
That's
door.
true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So what time did he vote? Or did you advance
It
vote?
was afternoon.
No, I was, I don't know. We left here and then we went home. We went out there probably 10 o'clock or
Was it-
something
I
like
guess
that.
I guess it was before noon. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I voted. I got out of here right after the show and went out
Yeah.
and voted.
Yeah.
Because I had to
Probably
get
wasn't
back
too
and
far apart, but yeah, there was, it wasn't there wasn't near all the machines full, but they were, they were a steady stream coming in, I guess you could say. It wasn't, there was
Yeah.
sometimes a little ways.
It wasn't
between 'em.
overwhelming at any time, but
No.
it was steady there for a long time. So that was good to see.
And you don't want to have if you want the machines full, then let's just save money and have 4 machines. They'll be full, but do you want to wait
Yeah.
like that?
No.
No. The best thing is to have enough machines like what we have so that you can avoid all of that, weights and things
Right.
like that. It's kind of like even a ball game. Yeah, you like a sellout, or the theater. You like a sellout until you're the guy who can't get a seat,
Yeah.
So you like that they have more seats than normal so that, you can almost always get in or go see it. Then on just those really rare occasions of a huge type of situation. And I think elections ought to be handled the same. Comment from Mike Campbell here. He says he wants to thank all 8 of the Board of Education candidates for participating in the Teachers Candidate Forum and for their candor in the face of some tough questions. Good luck to everyone running. Thanks to all of the election officials for their work. So thank you, Mike, for that comment and for joining with us here tonight. Very strong numbers with us tonight. So this tells me there's a lot of interest in how this comes out here tonight. So we are looking forward to getting these numbers for you and sharing them. We're getting close to the 7:30 hour, so we could be 15 to 30 minutes away from the numbers. Talk with Stacia. Of course, that's always a optimistic, hopeful number. You never know if anything glitches or they have any questions, because you only get one. They're not going to tell any numbers and then say, "Oops, hold on, now do this." Oops, hold on. Stacia's going to make sure what numbers get released are the numbers.
And plus, they got a little bit longer because they got to wait on Kismet, so it might take a little bit longer than normal.
Yeah, and I talked with her today. She said she might be able to release to me the Liberal numbers and then follow that up with the Kismet numbers. So we'll see, and however we get them, we will get them to you, and we're watching for that intently so that we can make sure we're reporting it out to you just as quickly as we can. And again, you'll see those sponsors right there, and we just want to thank them. That's what allows us to do things like this. And so, make sure if you're out and about, you can really help us by helping them, by thanking them for making this possible. Sponsors we have tonight are Bank of Beaver City, Epic Touch, Brickhouse Barbecue, Jones Monument, State Farm, Aaron Knutson and Crystal Kinzinger, Heritage Real Estate, Billy's Barbecue, and also you see it running their shelter insurance with Jose Lara. Miss anybody?
I think you got them.
Got them.
I think. I hope.
Yeah. And so we've talked a little bit about the city race, how we think that, might shuffle out since there was really nothing controversial. There wasn't some issue that was just, man, I really don't know why they did this or that. Really didn't have anything like that. The school, we talked about CKLA last night. There was a long issue at the school board dealing with the flex mod schedule at the high school. And some parents also shared their concerns about the flex mod schedule, so that might be something of an issue. But what about at the Seward County Community College Board of Trustees? Right now, the college seems to be going through a renaissance. I mean, it's a rebirth everywhere you look out there. Everything, I mean, from the fresh green paint going up places, new sporting programs, additional academic programs, an expansion of the CDL. How do you see the election going for the Seward County Community College Board of Trustees?
I don't know. That's going to be a tough one. I don't know. There's no controversy that I know of anyway. And again, you go back to the transparency issue. They come down here, as most of you know that watch this show. They come down Thursday's Seward County Community College Day, and I think they keep us well informed, sometimes with instructors and sometimes with students participating in different sports programs and those kind of things. But all in all, I think we've all learned. I certainly have. If you out there have learned half as much as I have about Seward County Community College, it's just amazing all of the things that they're doing out there. And we go over there, not every day, but 2 or 3 days a week anyway, or 4, and eat lunch. It's always fun to watch the kids in there. There's always laughing and joking, and one thing I have learned, either I'm a really slow eater, or those guys are really fast, because they can come in after me and sit down, and they'll leave 10 minutes before I'm even finished. But like I tell them sometimes, I hold the door open for them and tell you, get in there and get ahead of me in line, because you got a project to finish, and I don't have anything else to do. But I don't know. I think that's going to be a close race. There's just 2 challengers, Jennifer Malin and Kelly Hill, and I don't know. I think the 2 terms that were up were Kay Birdsloff and Keely Morey, and so I don't know how that's going to come out. I think Kelly's got a good chance because he's well known in the community, and they do a lot of sports stuff over there, not only for the college but for the high school and everything. So, I'd say his odds are probably better than some of them. But on the other hand, you've got those other 2, Keely and Kay, that have been on the board, so they're experienced. And so I don't know. It's just going to be interesting to see.
Well, all 4 incumbents are running, and that is John Engel, Marvin Chance Jr., Kay Birdsloff, and Keely Marie. And then you have 2 challengers to that. You had Jennifer Malin and Kelly Hill. Mm-hmm. And so, the 2 new challengers, they're not new names to the community. Kelly Hill is known in the community. He's a local grad. You also have Jennifer Malin, who's a lifelong resident, knows a lot of people, has served on some different boards and stuff, a former employee out at the college. So, it's a different dichotomy out there because of familiarity. But the other thing is And really, and you know, maybe it's not something that we cover like we do the city and the county and the school board, but you know, we don't cover all of those board meetings like we do the other ones. And so maybe the people just aren't as familiar as they are with the college of what happens out there as they are with the other entities. But you mentioned name recognition. People still looking at name recognition as how they make their decisions.
True.
And so, you know, who doesn't know some of those people? So, you know, I mean, does it go straight off of who's the most popular?
You know, I will say there was a lot of staff from Seward County, colleagues that voted today, and a lot of people from the high school. So those folks have a lot invested in that. So I'm glad to see them. And they came out in full force today to vote. So that's a good sign, I think, that they're interested in having the right candidate to run them, to help them have their boards and help the school system go. So that was exciting to see. So I was happy that those folks were out there at least, because I know they know who they're voting for, or should know anyway, and why they're voting for them.
And, you know, obviously people with a more vested interest, if it's their specific entity, you know, I'm pretty sure that of the people voting today, I hope that, you know, the school district, you know, staff was voting. I also wouldn't be surprised if you say, you know, the city staff, you know, for commissioners. I'm sure that the city staff was probably out voting on and have their say today.
Well, you know, there's a couple hundred people right there. You know, I don't know that all of them voted by any means, but there's certainly, you know, all of the employees, there's at least 200, and it could be more. I don't know for sure.
Hey, Earl, look at your phone.
Look at my phone.
Anyway,
All right.
we're getting a hot
Okay.
message here.
So here we've got some numbers to give to you. These will be liberal. These do not include Kismet. So I'm going to read to you these numbers, and then we'll figure out who's in and who's not. But it looks like Ron Warren is the lead vote getter for sure on the city with 847 votes. Your number 2 finisher, Jose Laura, with 749 votes. And then the third place finisher will be Matt Landry with 629 votes. Fourth place will be Kathleen Alonso with 575 votes. So she was only about 54 votes out of third place. Then you have Richard Wester with 420 votes, and you have Greg Duran in 6th with 361 votes. So your top vote getter in the city, Ron Warren, and then Jose Laura. Those two will earn 4-year terms, and then your third place finisher, Matt Landry, he will earn a 2-year term. Let's look over to the USD 480 school board. Who did you project as number 1?
I thought Brad Carr would be the man.
And Brad Carr is the man. 907 votes for Brad Carr as the top vote getter in the USD 480 race. Second place, Mike Brock with 863 votes. And
Give me 2 marks.
Kaylee Ruiz Lopez, it gets a little tighter here. Third place with 559 votes. And then right behind, Jesus Baeza in 4th with 529 votes. Just missing Travis Martinez with 505 votes. And literally 4 votes behind that, Margarita Biggs, 501 votes.
Wow.
Enrique Weissel finishes up at 382 votes. So your 4 school board members will be Brad Carr, Mike Brock, Kaylee Ruiz Lopez, and Jesus Baeza. That will make up your school board. Now, I don't know. I don't know if I should read the Seward County Community College Board of Trustees yet, because these numbers will not include Kismet yet.
Yep.
And you know, so I'm
Well,
gonna,
let's just wait a little while until we get it all, and then
yeah, I'm just gonna glean over those and just kind of see where the votes
we won't build you up and then let you down.
come over from over there to see where you're at on those. I'm trying to see here. I can see who the four, I'll tell you who's leading. These are not final. I guess I got you stuck on the screen there. Sorry about
That's
that.
all right.
These are not final, but I'll tell you who's leading right now. And I won't give you any numbers until we get the Kismet numbers added into these. But leading right now, Marvin Chance, Keely Marie, John Engel, and Kelly Hill. Those are your four in that order. Marvin Chance, Keely Marie, John Engel, and Kelly Hill are the four leading right now. And we got to wait on that one till we see the other numbers come in. But we'll review here back for the city. Ron Warren, Jose Laura, and Matt Landry. No surprise, that's exactly how they finished in the election for the primary. Matt Landry, 629. Kathleen Alonso just finishing fourth at 575. So again, just about a 54 vote difference right there. But I'll start putting these across the bottom.
I'll say one
ticker.
thing for Alonzo, she worked at it.
Yes, she did.
She really worked hard at it.
So what do you think of those three in that order?
Huh? That's what the people selected. I don't have a problem with any of those. I think they and the fun part is that there's there are close races. There's some of them not very far apart. Mm-hmm. And that's sometimes where, if you get those close races, that's where the Board of Canvass comes in, because you have all those provisional ballots. Somebody, moved out of one district and into the other one and forgot to change their registration or something. And, there's about, I don't know, probably 7 or 8 or 10 different reasons for a provisional ballot. And I don't know that it's ever made a difference, but when you get in close races, like, when there's only 2 or 3 or 4 votes, between the candidates, sometimes that count, the final count, can make a difference. So, but yeah, congratulations to those folks, and of course that's not the final result yet, but I think they're far enough, they've got enough numbers there that Board of Canvass is not going to change that.
Well, Kismet's not going to affect it at all,
No.
because that
No,
doesn't.
not
They don't
that,
vote in
no.
the city.
No.
So B,
Yeah.
I'm going to be typing in the school board results to go along with this. But what's your thoughts on those three and in that order of finish?
That's kind of that's the way I predicted. I figured that's what it would go, and that's what we had in the primary. I talked to Jose earlier, and I asked him what he thought his chances were, and he felt good about it, so he was right on. So I think that they all kind of had a good figure that they would be there, and I talked to Ron, and he was pretty easygoing, and so I think it's a good order. I hate to see the other ones lose, but I think we got 3 good ones that are going to be there that are going to run the city. So that's what we're wanting. We want the right people to do the right job.
Well, and that kind of shows the faith in the public and the current city commission and the new city manager, and we've got a new police chief, and so they've made some substantial changes in city management.
Oh, yeah.
And, but they've also made some substantial changes in informing the public with town halls and that kind of thing. They're getting ready to do another one here. This next week, I think it is. I don't remember exactly, but they want to hear from you. So, I think that's an important part of that election, that people knew and felt comfortable with what was going on, and so there wasn't any major changes, and that'll make things slide right along a little easier. And I'm sure Matt, being a new board member, congratulations, Matt. And glad to see he's on there. I think, he brings a lot of management skills that, sometimes are needed in things like that. So, it's good to see that, that's the final number.
Yeah, and so, you look at that, and you knew that there's you knew you were going to have at least 3 new ones. Mike Brock as an incumbent, finishing up at number 2. That shows some confidence that he has some support in the community for his position on the issues and the way he's conducted himself as a board member. And, your 3 new ones, Brad Carr, Kaylee Ruiz Lopez, and Jesus Baeza. They'll take their seats in January on that. How do you think that changes the dynamic of that board?
Well, I think maybe it'll bring a little bit more openness. I think these board members, not that the others wouldn't listen, but you kind of got the feeling that they really didn't want to hear anything, and they would, refer to the chain of command. You got to go talk to this guy or this gal or, something like that. And so, but I think, I'm sure Brad will be very interested in hearing from you. Just my opinion, but I think he'll be very interested in hearing what people have to say. And Mike kind of the same way. I think Mike, he's been there. He understands, how it works. And then sometimes you just get outvoted on things like that too. Things that you want to do that you think would make a better board or something like that. And so I'm sure that Mike's open for some discussion about changes and those kind of things. And so I don't know, but I don't know. I think it'll be kind of business as usual, but on the other hand, I think it'll give the public, in particular the parents, a little more voice in the activities, and hopefully the board will get a little bit more involved in, when it comes to selecting programs and whatever goes on out there. I'm way past that stage, so I don't have any kids out there, and so I really don't know the internal workings of it. But it's we'll see. I mean, there's 3 new ones, I guess, isn't there? Because Mike's the incumbent. Right. So
yep. And so your 3 new ones, Brad Carr, Kaylee Ruiz Lopez, and Jesus Baeza. And Jesus was 24 votes ahead of Travis Martinez, so that was a close finish there. And then Travis was only 4 votes ahead of Margarita Biggs.
Now, see, that's one that could, if that was in a provisional race, that's one that could flip, but it still wouldn't put him on the board because I don't think you can flip, 24, 25 votes, but you sure could, on a 3 or 4 vote.
Yeah, exactly.
Count.
I think Ron Warren is on his way down, the top vote getter for the city, so we'll visit with him. Anyone else who's, that we've announced?
I wonder if he
here?
did that with 3 signs.
Yeah.
Because that's all he had
He's
for a
getting his
long
money's
time.
worth.
I think he did.
See, he's being frugal. That's what we want.
That's right.
In the words of George W. Bush, it's strategery. It's where you put those signs, and he's obviously put them in the right place. And so again, congratulations, Ron Warren, the top vote getter tonight. So he for him that also means another 4-year term. And we've talked with him a little bit in the past. He's probably served with more commissioners than anybody I know.
I think he said, what did he say, 18? I think he counted up the next time he came back, and I thought he said maybe 18 different ones.
We'll add 19 because he'll serve with Matt Landry, who was a new one.
And well, look at, I don't know how many city managers he's served with, but that's been 3 or 4 anyway.
Well, I think he does go back to Toby. So if you go back to Toby and Mark and Cal and Rusty.
Yeah.
So he's worked with probably 4. We'll ask him when he gets here, and see. But, you know, so Ron, the top vote getter, Brad Carr, right now I mean, these are pretty much it, the top vote getter for the school district, you know, and I think you projected that.
Yep.
I'm not surprised by that at all. B, any surprise there on the school?
No, that's how I picked it. I figured Brad would be the top vote getter, and you know, I got to know Brad a little bit over the last year or so, and I think he has some good ideas, and you know, he's not afraid to share them, and has some good values, which is so important. So, yeah, it wasn't a surprise to me. Glad to see that he made it. I think he'll do a good job, Mike. I've known Mike for a couple of years now, so I know Mike does a good job, and I think he's very concerned about our kids. So, kudos to them, especially.
Just as a side note, Stacia, on this sheet here it says total ballots 1,626. Now
1626.
1626. So that means you were 31 off. I was 26 off.
Ah, dang it.
But you're going to come out ahead because that doesn't include Kismet yet.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm still alive then. I'm
So-
still alive.
So when Kismet comes in, obviously there's going to be more than 5 votes
We hope.
over there. And so it's probably going to end up probably 1750 maybe.
Could
Yeah.
be, yeah.
You know, when you add their ballots into this thing. And, you know, so from the 600, how do you feel now about the turnout today? The turnout is still, let's see, I think she's got it here at 17%. What do you think of that?
Well, that's better than the 16 it was, you know, well, not the last election, but the one before that, I think it was like 16%. But, you know, we still got a long ways to go. And anyway, here comes the man right here.
We'll slide him in.
Let me
we'll
slide
all three of
over
you
here.
guys, yeah, we'll slide you over and get him in.
Yeah, we got room.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Shoot, yeah.
Can't skip you guys, right?
Well, that's right.
Well, it's not really us. You know, this is your chance
Get over here in the
to
middle.
address the voters who put you at number 1. You came out with 847 votes tonight. That's 23% of all the votes cast in the city election. Second place was Jose Lore at 749, so 98 vote victory. That means I think that, you know, I don't think a recount will change that any, so you got to feel good about that. So, you know, tell me a little bit, and I'm going to go shuffle the camera a little bit so I can get Rice in over there, but so give us your initial reaction.
Well, yeah, I guess it never gets old. Like, I may have to go back and count and see if this was 9 times or whatever, but you start having the doubts at the end, thinking, yeah.
Go. All right.
They'll get it figured out in a minute.
Yeah, but you just kind of wonder, well, should I have done more, or you know, is your record speak for you or whatever? So you start worrying about it that night, right? You've been in them.
Did you stick
And,
with those 3 signs?
Well, you know, I had 7 out, so I beefed it up,
You did.
and I do want to challenge all the people who ran. I've already got my signs picked up. They're in the truck, and I know I didn't have a lot of them, but I want to challenge everybody to get their signs picked up because you know, I think everybody's probably kind of tired of looking at them, but they needed to see them. I mean, there was a need for them, and they needed to be out there, but I'd like to, you know, set the example. Like I said, I did have it easy. I only had to go get 7 of them. One of them actually, I think, disappeared, blew away. But I got 6 in case we ever think we got to do this again, right?
Well, so we were talking before you got here. I can't remember if you said 18. How many commissioners you've served with before total?
I think we were at 19.
So this will
So I
make
think
it 20.
this will make 20, I think.
Yeah. So, you know, Matt Landry coming on with you. We've been talking about, you know, in years past, and you know this, you've ran, sometimes there's an issue or there's a disgruntlement or something like that, but this year, really, there wasn't any kind of undercurrents for the commission, anything of, let's say, well, why did they do that or why didn't they do this, you know, anything like that. So you being an incumbent and getting the top vote position, it says something that the voters seem to be at least comfortable with you and the direction things are going. how do you measure the results tonight?
Well, and I agree with you with the things. And if there was anything, it didn't come out in the election that people were upset about, and the other candidates thought we needed to change or anything. But I really do feel like we've got things headed in a good direction, and I think we'll see that. I guess I got 4 more years, so I think a lot of it will happen in the next 4 years, and I think we'll see growth, a little bit of economic burst, I hope. You know, of course, I used to always say it's probably better to have like consistent, steady growth than it is to have a boom, because then it would present more problems that we would have to deal with because of us dealing with infrastructure and those types of things, and quality of life, having enough places for people to go and different things for family entertainment and that type of stuff, which is not all on us, but you know, some of it is. So I think you're right. I think everybody kind of agrees that we had a lot of it going the right direction.
And you know, you've been in leadership in the past. You're past mayor. You've done that. So you know, when you win an election like this, do you feel like you're comfortable where your role is, or you know, when you're the top vote getter, a lot of time that becomes ceremonially, traditionally, they kind of look to that person to say it's your turn then.
Well, I think in the past sometimes that happens. I think, like say, my position there is more experience and a little bit of leadership to newer people or those that have been there on what's happened in the past and what things, when something comes up, whether we've thought about everything or not. And I will say that there's people that definitely have put in more time than I have, and that was, of course, one of the things I think we talked about. When I come here, I was concerned whether I have enough time to put into this for the job, and I talked to several people about it, and they think that, you know, with my experience, it really takes me less time to get on top of what's happening. But as far as being able to go out and do the things, I think Jose has done a wonderful job, and Jeff before him did a wonderful job at mayor, and it's not something I'm going to turn down if they want me to do it, but I don't really think that's necessarily the role that I play on the commission. I think it's more of a experienced leadership type role and common sense and just kind of balance or whatever, you know. But
so I haven't been counting, but I'm sure maybe you do. You seem to be a numbers guy. You keep up with some of that stuff. So you've been on both sides of elections, but I think you've been on more winning sides and losing sides now. What is the record? How many have you won?
Well, I think I've won 5 and maybe lost 3, if I'm thinking right here. And one of them that I lost, I actually got appointed later. So I think I'm on the winning side, because of the last 2, I think I was 3 for 3. I think I'd gone back and looked up until these last 2 times.
So you're above 500.
Above 500, yeah.
You're a baseball guy.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah.
good thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think it's kind of one of those deals that maybe the public and me will both realize at the same time when I'm not needed, you know what I mean? And I think that time can come, you know. But there are 5 seats on the commission, and there's never, like I say, I think I've kind of fallen into that position where, okay, you have some experience, you know some things that have happened. Every once in a while you can say, well, wait a minute, guys, I actually don't think we can do that. And you're able to bring that to the board. And then you have the younger guys that are coming in here with all the energy and the ideas and want to make things happen. And so, like I say, and that's where we get back to that diversity and character and personality on the board is, and everybody can have a position. And that's why if everybody was the same, we probably wouldn't accomplish as much, or we wouldn't catch our mistakes before we make them. But like I say, I think I just fall into that spot, and I think it's good to. I mean, I kind of I'm thinking that we've got a good chance to continue. And I'm gonna go ahead and say it since you didn't say it. Matt's sitting out here now, and so we got some new blood, and that brings another thought process to the board, and it can make us that much, that much stronger and that much better. So,
Well, and I want to ask you that, but before I do, if you go back and look at like the last 2 or 3 cycles, there have been massive swings. I mean, you've had 2 new, 3 new.
Yeah.
I mean, it has been, new commission after new commission seems like, and even your midterm, because you had a 4-year term, so you got to sit out that last one.
Yep.
But then you had 3 new ones come on the board.
Yeah.
And the election before that, you had a lot of new faces come on the board. So in an election where everyone stayed on that was running, and you got 1 new face, how does that make you feel about what happens next?
Yeah. Well, like I say, that hasn't happened for a while, and I think the better job, and we got to have a little bit of luck on our side too, and some things happen. I mean, we can try to make things happen all we want, but a lot of it's not really in our hands. I think sometimes people actually believe we have more power. Well, that store didn't come, or they didn't come, the commission kept them from coming.
Why did you
well,
do
that
that?
that never happens. I mean, it's never happened in the 22 years that I've done this. I don't think any commission has ever made something not happen. We just don't have that kind of power, and our responsibility really is, as much as we can, is to make something happen. But I really kind of see that. I really kind of feel like things are lining up, things are good. There's always room for improvement. Like say, you get new ideas, that helps, but things are headed in a good direction. So I think it'll be interesting that next time, of course, that'll be 2 years. I guess we'll have Matt. He'll have that fun deal that I had to start with. You got 2 years, and you're
He
wanting.
might be ready to head for the hills by
Yeah,
then.
you decide whether you're going to dig in and help some more, but Jeff and Janeth and Matt would be in that next one, and we'll see how good a job. That may be an indicator how good a job we do is by how they do in the next election, and I feel really confident that, like say, some good things are going to happen in the next few years, and it'll be a similar election to this one.
We got some more for you, but before we do, we've got some final numbers now. We do have the unofficial numbers from Kismet to give you the Seward County Community College Board of Trustees final numbers. Marvin Chance does finish first with 1,059 votes. The second place finisher is Keely Marie with 910 votes. Third place finisher, John Engel, with 867 votes. And fourth, and the final person coming on to the board, Kelly Hill with 820 votes. Behind Kelly, Jennifer Malin with 696 votes. And Kay Bertzloff finishes, is the last one to finish here with 647 votes. So you do have 3 incumbents, Marvin Chance, John Engel, and Keely Marie stay on the board. And Kelly Hill comes in, and he'll replace Kay Bertzloff for that seat. So that is how those finish up there. We also have the Wild West Extension District final numbers, and 2 of the 3 serve here. And so Evan Winchester is the top vote getter with 1,046 votes, and Kaylani Bradley is second with 639 votes, and just about 50 votes behind was Rosa Conley at 588 votes. So Evan Winchester and Kaylani Bradley will serve on that. Let's look at your final numbers for USD 483 numbers. Let me find out. Of course, on the Kismet City Council, there were only 3 running, and all 3 obviously no write-ins. So John Lee, just out of curiosity, was the top vote getter with 56 votes. Candace Hamilton was 52, and Brian Garrison 50. So pretty even, 56, 52, and 50 for that. In the at-large position, only one person was running for that at USD 480 board, and that was Clint Reese. And he has 131 votes for that. I think when you also add in the other precincts, he has 136. Let me see if I find the USD 483. Here they are. So in the USD 483, this is the Kismet Southwestern Heights District. Frank Friesen is the top vote getter over there tonight with 88 votes for that. 3 of these people will be taking their seats over there. Let's see, the next vote getter is Brad Lewis, who comes in with 65 votes. And wow, look at this. This might need a little extra work because Brian Garrison is third with 62 votes, and Neil Coffey is fourth with 61 votes. So
That one,
Close. Yep.
yeah, I'd say
Yep.
that's just, that all depends on the Board of Canvas right there.
1 vote difference between
vote.
Brian Garrison and Neil Coffey for the third position over there. And let's see, to round that out, Jordan Leake had 53 votes, and Devin Walker had 33. So that's how that finishes up over there. And let's see if this tells me, maybe I back on that sheet, just to see if I have total ballots cast, 1,724. So
All right.
your estimate was a little ahead of my estimate, so you get the silver star.
Well, we got to get that to 2,000. Come on, folks. Got to get that to
Yeah.
2,000.
So let's talk to you about this. You've got Matt Landry, who's coming on the board. You've been the new guy, you've been the old guy, and the new guy again. So what advice do you give the new guy that's just going to be coming on?
I'm going to say learn fast, because you're coming on with 4 people that have been there now, and like I say, I think Jose is here now, and he'd let you know it takes a little while to get your feet and figure out what's all going on, but he's hit the ground running and picked it up and really been active and knows what's going on, and I expect the same from you, because I can see that in your personality, and then you guys can do all your running and then drag this old man along once in a while, but I would say learn as fast as you can and take it in, because there is quite a bit, when you start trying to look at the budget and learn everything and think about what you can do and what you can't do and what you should do and what you shouldn't do, because I've seen people, but yeah, I'm going to say it's been a long time since I've been the new guy. But I mean, I guess I kind of been the new guy, but I never ever felt like the new guy since the first time. And but
Sure. Well, like think 5 years ago. I mean, you've been there before, but then you were off. Then you come back on.
yeah,
And so it wasn't the same people you were on before. You may know,
Right.
how the Robert's Rules of Orders work, and all that, but the issues all change. Different personalities. How did those different personalities? You've worked with more
Yeah.
personalities than anybody. How does that affect the commission?
well, and it's good, I guess, that I get along with everybody. So so that always worked, or I say I did. There's a couple of us that had some disagreements
I
on
know
one
of a commission that didn't
but-
work out well.
Well, and I think we disagreed, but I don't think we disliked each other. And so I think
They made
that-
your life hard.
Yeah, they made it hard, but I don't have any ill feelings toward any of them really, and they believed what they believed, I believed what I believed, and I always knew I was right, so.
And you're still here.
And I'm still here, but sometimes those things are going to happen. But so yeah, that was a little bit rougher time. But like I say, it wasn't. We were civil with each other most. When we were together, and it was just kind of part of it. But yeah, it can kind of get that way sometimes. But
Well, a city manager is kind of like a coach. Their personality is going to be reflected on the team as a whole, and then the city commission has a collective personality, and that's going to be reflected. So when you look at all those different personalities over the years, and you've seen how maybe some people didn't win re-election because of personality, and maybe they did. How do you feel the personality of this commission?
You know, I'm thinking that we're probably going to get along as good or better, as definitely as good as any commission I've got along with, and it's because really we're focused on a direction, and we know what the need is. And I can't say that we were always that way. I mean, earlier commissions, you know, we were dealing with problems. You know, I was on commissions that dealt with Trailmobile and those kind of things, and then we had other issues. And like I said, the commission that we had some disagreements on and some things that took place. And
are you glad no one brought up Trailmobile and you as a
well, you know, it's
commissioner?
just kind of glad that it's not even a topic anymore. We've had 2 owners out there since then, I think, and there's a business that's doing good in the facility, and we took all our hits, you know, back then when we did it. So this commission, like I say, is really just on a focus of growth, I think, and improvement, and we're all, I think, going to be kind of looking for the same thing. You know, you were talking about earlier about me coming on and being the new guy, but in reality, like say, the budget, though it's different, it's not different. So our main responsibilities have really never changed. So to me, I didn't feel like I always knew what I was. I'm going to think I was off for maybe like 4 years, and sometimes a lot doesn't change in 4 years. There wasn't, and something I didn't even bring up in this election when I was running, but Alicia threw it in front of me that I actually have completed level 1 and level 2 of the Kansas League of Municipalities class that they have, and I only lack a few things to get in level 3, and as far as I know, there's been no city commissioners from Liberal, and Joe probably, I don't know that he did all the deals. He might have, because he did the things that I lack. Denoyer did, but I don't know if he did all the classes that I did, the pre-classes. So I always kind of learned what our job was. You know, there was planning and zoning classes. There was all kinds of classes, and I can remember sitting there one time when I come off the election, and there was something that happened, and it happened to do with putting somebody in the city limits or not putting them in the city limits, and I was sitting out in the audience because I was one that I went off, and I was the only one that knew the rules or what, you know, how it should have been handled, but I couldn't say nothing. So that's helpful. You know, that kind of always helped me, you know, to just get back into the groove again with what was going on. It like I say, it doesn't change a lot.
Now, a guy like me, I'm a media guy, so I'll preface with that. Show my bias right off the bat, but when you talk about things like the KLM, it's a double-edged sword for some of us. I mean, there's good of policy, you know, and those kind of things. They probably teach you a lot of good things. When they start talking about your role as a commissioner and things like that, that's when I start getting a little bit nervous about when they're trying to guide you into certain things. I think that you get elected to serve the people, and your job is to serve the people, and to do that. So. And you've done it. The people have spoken. They have put you back in with 847 votes as the top vote getter. 4 more years, Ron Warren serving. So Ron, congratulations. Anything I didn't ask you? You get last word here?
Well, the only thing I want to say is I do want to thank everybody that did run, because it's not always that easy to put yourself out there. Don't get discouraged, people that didn't make it in all of those elections. If it's something that you want to do and you believe in it, keep trying. Be active in the community. You don't have to sit in this seat to help your community. But then I want to thank, of course, all the people that did vote for me, and I did have a little support. I stopped over at the county building and thanked the Republican Party. They did. So if I heard my name on the radio, it was because they had it on there. And so I want to thank them for their support, but thank the public for having, you know, some faith in me to be able to make decisions, and thank everybody that did run, and I look forward to working with the group we have. I think we're going to do good. So,
and I'll give you the last word. I do want to say for you guys, I think and see what Jim thinks about this, but I think, over the past couple of years, it's probably been one of the more open groups, and especially here, since we started this program, that we've opened the door to the city, and the city has decided to take advantage of that. And I think I hear a lot of good of the people who feel like they're hearing more about what's happening within the city than they've ever heard before. And I think that helps keep that roller coaster of this pendulum, that pendulum, just always swinging. I think this is a kind of a leveling out.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely say, and I'm going to go back, I'm going to say over 4 years before this term that I'm finishing, and into the term before that the city has been more transparent, made the efforts to be transparent. They've worked with Focus on the Future on the use of the 1-cent sales tax. And I think you can agree with me that both of those things have been better in the last 4 to 5 years than they were before.
Oh, no question. And I've worked with a lot of different commissions over the years on the Focus, and there have been times, previous managers and previous boards, that I was about to advocate against it. But because you guys came on and you opened the door and you reestablished that relationship with the Focus and the public. Really, it's not Focus, you reestablish it with the public. I think that was important, and that's why I continue to advocate and support it, because of the changes that were made at the city.
And I could see that you were getting there, and you're right. It's important that we make changes, because we don't want you advocating against it, because the 1-cent sales tax is something that really makes liberal work. Without it, we're not the same. It's not the same. And our draw, I haven't heard somebody tell me what the draw number is. I'm just going to guess it's 85, 90,000. I almost feel like, and it could be more, I almost feel like we're maybe have more draw than our neighbors do, and so that affects that 1-cent sales tax. And if we can do some things and economic development wise, and get some people that are going out of town to buy something, get them to stay here and buy something, and we'll see that in that 1-cent sales tax, and that number has gone up, and it's continued to go up. And I have confidence in these guys right here that it's going to go up more.
Well, you're right in the ballpark, and the state used to keep track of what they call the pull factor. And at that time, Liberal was one of the top 3 pull factors in the state of Kansas, meaning from the people that actually come in and shop versus if you lose. So example, if you had one shopper come in and one shopper go out, you're a net neutral. But we were a plus for the number of people we have, but the people that came in, we were a plus so high that we were like the 3rd strongest draw in the entire state of Kansas. That's Johnson County, that's everything. So, it is an opportunity for us to do that, and I'm looking forward to the comprehensive plan. And now that we're over the election, I'm definitely looking forward to your support for the downtown project and seeing that through.
I'm looking forward to seeing a good plan.
And so we will show you one. We'll make sure you see a good plan.
Yeah.
And also, you got a lot of things on the plate. We got an overpass. We got maybe 2 overpasses. There's a lot of things. So it's going to be an interesting 4 years.
I better let you get these guys up here. These guys really need to. I don't want to hog the night.
No, and if you'll give yours, if you'll turn it off and give it to Jose, we'll go ahead and have Matt come up, because he's wired up. And so we've been talking to Ron Warren, the top vote getter tonight in the city commission race with 847 votes. He was also the top vote getter in the primary. Nothing really as far as positions changed from the primary. He still finished in the number 1 position. Matt Landry was 3rd, and he finishes 3rd. So he wins a 2-year term. So
You're probably good too, aren't you?
I am.
So Matt, I just want to welcome you to the show tonight, and also, to
Yep, I'll wait.
yeah, you should. I think you're good. So first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
2-year term. You obviously, you had to get over the bar. You did. Tell us a little bit what your campaign strategy was and how you feel about the night.
I think the campaign strategy was more about getting out and just letting the people know. You know, the 2 debates that we had out at the forums that we had, I think really put me in front of a lot of people through Facebook, social media. People really got to know who I was at that moment in time. And then the networking throughout the community. I felt like it ended how I wanted. I did, you know. Going into it this morning, woke up this morning and was like, well, today's D-Day. I need to, you know, today's the day where they're
You've
going to
done all you can do.
I can't do anything else today. You know, there's a couple people ahead of me that have a good stronghold, and they had their signs out there a little bit sooner than I did. And then I got out there and got some signs out there. And I started getting some feedback from that from people in the community saying, hey, man, I saw your signs out there. I saw your signs out there. So it was kind of a positive feeling this morning when I heard that.
So you heard us talk with Ron a little bit. You know, he's going to be coming in as a top vote getter. You're coming in the 2-year seat. Probably there's a guy right out here that can tell you about that 2-year seat strategy, because he just came off the 2-year and now he's a 4-year coming in. So what do you see? Like say, you're going to be, I don't want to say the odd man out, but you're going to be, these 4 have been working together now
Sure.
for a couple of years. So you're joining the team, so to speak. What do you bring to that? What do you feel like you're going to bring to the city commission that maybe, you know, nuances it a little bit, that where you like to play a role?
So I don't know if it's necessarily I'm going to bring something different. It's going to be a different mindset as far as approaching them and working with them. You know, working with Jose, working with Jeff, you know, working with Ron, working with people inside there and saying, hey, let's put our minds together to come up with a better plan for what we think, you know, what we want to see for Liberal in the future. You know, I've heard Jose talk multiple times and the ideas that he has and what he feels, his passion about it. There's a lot there. So there's some great minds to work with that have been there already for some time, that have put some foundation on that house. And what I bring to the table is the guy who says, hey, I can build the studs in the roof and we're going to make a great house out of what we started to build. So.
And you've heard the issues. You've heard about the building maybe 1, maybe 2 overpasses.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about a new comprehensive plan that's going to be coming for the city. You've talked about a downtown streetscape. There's always potential businesses and the approach we take with that. So you've been going to the meetings. You've been bringing yourself up to speed. You know, you got to. Now it's going to get sworn in January and hit the ground running. So, you know, knowing the issues, what do you look at? What's going to be what you'd like to see the priorities moving forward?
Well, my first priority is basically learn the policies and the procedures of a new role that I've got in my life. So there's number 1. Absorb the information from the people that have already been there, and to you know, have people mentor me in my new role so that I know what's going on. There's number 1. Number 2 is to really get out there and make sure that the community knows that I'm working for them and that I'm working inside of the city to really help and do the things that I said I was going to do. I said that I would be a voice of the people and that I would work hard for them because I work hard for myself and my family. So those are the number 1s. Coming right in on top of that, or piggybacking that, is to work with, you know, Rusty, work with Jose, work with Jeff, and say, hey, you know, overpasses, downtown, what are we doing to move Liberal in a forward direction for a better tomorrow? Those types of things are going to be, you know, to me, those are things that are going to be super important to us as a community. So I think it's working with them. I don't think I can take that ball all by myself and just run with it and say, hey, I'm going to do this. It's going to be, if somebody says, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? You know, if it was green, what do you think if it was blue? Type thing.
I think the position that you're in is the same thing with Jose 2 years ago. It's a unique position because you're coming on to the board. You got 2 years. You're kind of new to the game. It's your first time serving, just like it was for Jose. People are going to want to see something happen that, you know, you can hang your hat on. And you look at what Jose and those guys are able to do, you know, new city manager, joining the SCDC, a lot of the things that they did that obviously the voters, it resonated with the voters tonight because the 2 incumbents were the top 2 vote getters. So, you know, you got 2 years to hang your hat on something. Well, you know, what are you going to look at to want to be able to put your signature on it?
I guess the development of downtown is one of the things that you constantly hear this echoing down the hallway of.
Especially these hallways.
Yeah.
You hear that. You
These
hear that a lot.
hallways, yes, yeah. you hear that a lot of what are we going to do with downtown. Jose has talked about downtown. Jeff has talked about downtown. There's been talk about that. If anything, I think right now, if you're a younger individual and you are looking for, hey, what are we going to do for Liberal moving forward? What are we going to do with our downtown area? We understand housing. We understand economic development. We understand those things. We've talked about those things previously in the past quite a bit. They're things that resonate. They're pretty much inscribed in stone because those are the things that we know that we need. So, but I think that there's a downtown thing there that we really want to move on to.
Well, you're singing my tune, so I'm going to be interested to see what you come up with.
I love your tune sometimes. Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's good.
Well, and you know, the whole thing is, I've been talking to people, even some who are critical of it. But one thing that they talked about, because they're just saying about traffic, but they said, no, what Liberal needs is a place where you can just go hang out and meet people and stuff. I said, really? Well, guess what the whole concept of the downtown is? It's to create an area where people could go hang out and go to a restaurant or listen to someone playing a guitar or see a sidewalk art show. There's all kinds of things that can happen once the traffic is calmed and that environment is created. And that's what, I don't know what it will be. I know what it is doesn't work for that. Mm-hmm. So you either got to decide it's just going to be a pass-through road, so forget trying to develop it into a district. Don't waste resources like that. Or let's make it a district. Let's make it a place where people want to go. People maybe even want to live upstairs or something like that, but also a place where they can come down. We can just casually walk the streets, dive in here, dive in there, just spend an evening or a weekend afternoon downtown Liberal. I think that's definitely possible when you look at it. So I'm excited to see what you guys come up with. And of course, according to Ronnie, show him a good plan.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
So we'll give you the last word. What do you want to say to the voters out there tonight? What do you want to say looking forward to your service to the city of Liberal?
Well, first thing, I'd like to thank the voters that came out and voted for me. Thanks for the support of the GOP. That was great. Like, you know, Ron had mentioned earlier, if you heard my name on the radio, that was the GOP that did it. Everybody inside the city, the media, anybody who's put me out there and has supported me, I really appreciate that. To my family, to my wife, to my daughter, to my in-laws, to everybody that in that area that has supported me throughout this. My mom, who's back in Florida, who I talked to tonight. I was actually on the phone with her when I found out that I had won my seat, and she was just ecstatic about it at that moment in time. So, you know, I look forward to 2 years. It's going to be fun to work with a group of men, women that really have great mindsets inside of a great city that has become home to me. That wasn't home a long time ago, and it is now. So we're going to figure things out, and it's going to be fun, and we're going to have a good time doing it. I really do. I think we are.
Well, we look forward to your service. This
Yeah.
is Matt Landry, 629 votes tonight, good enough to be in the top 3. He'll serve a 2-year term on the Liberal City Commission. Congratulations,
Thank you.
Matt. And
Appreciate
we'll
it.
let you turn yours over to one of the school board members that is here, and we'll bring up Jose and wrap up the 3 city commissions.
Thank you.
Candidates who will be serving. While Jose's getting ready, we do have the winners of the raffle for the guns. The AR-15 goes to Danny Lubers. The shotgun goes to Linda Martinez. The hunting and fishing license, to talk about winning, Ron Warren wins the state
there you
hunting and
go.
fishing license. And NRA membership goes to Neil Coffey. So, and Neil just came in here and bought his tickets just yesterday.
Well, there you
So
go.
those are your 4 winners in the raffle. And, you know, it's a night of winners, so we want to throw those in there.
Yep.
And so, Jose, I will say what did it for you this time was a better sign. Your signs are better than last time.
There you
see,
go.
You had third place signs, now you have second place signs.
Now I just need first place signs.
There
huh?
you go. We'll talk about, see, you didn't come see me on the sign. and so you're
That might
second.
be it. You sure it's not that I can't say thank you to the GOP for putting my name on the radio? I have a feeling that has a small bit to do with it.
But you know, when you look at the difference
Well,
here.
you can change that. You can become a Republican.
No, then I would become a politician, and I'm not going to do that. I believe in honesty.
So think about tonight, you know, you came in the primary second, and, you know, you hold that position, but you're in that 4-year. You know, you went from a 2-year to a 4-year. What do you think that says from the voters on what they've seen of you in the first 2 years?
I think it's had a lot to do with just what we've been doing with the city. I mean, I don't want to repeat everything we say on Monday, but it's been that foundation that we built, the transparency that we've built. I mean, even during the city commission meetings, and during my time as mayor, I've changed how we approach, even how we address the public. Now there's a portion in there, after a motion is made, that is when the public has time to speak up during that agenda item. Because there's been so many times where, I mean, our rules say they used to be you speak at the end, so that way you can speak on the item. We changed that to where you speak in the beginning, unless there's an agenda item you want to speak about. But then during the agenda item, we don't really say, now here's the time for the public to speak. And I feel like instead of letting them speak at first and then listening to what we say, I think it's best we speak, make the motion, and then let the community that's there that wants to talk about it speak on that issue. So I asked for discussion from the commission and discussion from the public. That's when they have their 5 minutes to discuss an item that's on the agenda. That is the level of transparency and openness that we have. And that's part of the thing. The league will frown on that, but I don't care. I believe we need to be as open to the public as possible.
And that's why, as a member of the media, when it talks about the openness, the league is more protectionistic. And
Yes.
I don't think that's necessarily good for democracy. I think the more open democracy is, the more that decisions are made out in the public. And I think you guys have done that more than past commissions. I think, am I wrong on that?
No, I think that's right.
And so when you guys are operating in the light and people see what's going on and understand the reasoning behind it, they can get on board, even if it's not something that they maybe would have known or that. The other thing I think it heads off, and you know, love my town to death, but the rumor mill. You know, I mean, those wheels churn all the
Oh, yeah.
time.
Yes.
But when you're being open and out there with it, you can really head that off and keep people in what's really going on, what's really happening. So,
As long as there's not an NDA on it, I believe we need to be as open as possible. If you have a question about something we're doing, there's probably 50% truth in what you've heard. So let's discuss and see why you've heard that and where the direction actually is of what we're trying to do.
I mean, if you even look at just recently in Halloween, there was some rumor that got out that some kid died from Halloween candy. But the LPD jumped on that and said, we don't have any evidence of that. No one has died of candy that's been
Right.
brought to our attention. And if it had been brought to their attention,
We would have brought that to the public's attention, yes.
yes. So there's that. Now that you're on the backside, the election is now over. It ended at 7. It's 8:33. You're an hour 33 beyond the election now. How do you, you know, obviously you'll be coming back in, staying in there for 4 more years. What do you think this says from a public's perspective of where things are going, or how does this affect you on where you want to move next?
Well, now it'll give me more time to continue to focus on building those relationships within the state. Because that 2-year term, you can go and I'm one out of the roughly 10 events we have a year. I'm the only commissioner who attended all of them. And then the rest of those, there's other 1, 2, sometimes 3 commissioners who will attend them. And these are the meetings that are in Topeka, Wichita, or even in Dodge and Garden. So you're building a relationship there with those communities at that same time. And being the only commissioner who has gone to all of them for both years, now I can continue to do that, and I'll be a familiar face to the leadership in Dodge and Garden, the leadership in Topeka, and just the league as well in Wichita when we go there. So that's my biggest goal, as well as what makes me happy about the 4-year term is we can continue to build those relationships and network with the rest of the state.
Sure, we have a request here. I want to meet this. Someone was asking about the USD 480, if I could reread their results on that. They should be scrolling under the bottom, but Brad Carr, 907, the top vote getter tonight. Second place, Mike Brack at 863. Then you go to Kaylee Ruiz Lopez with 559. And then we move on to the fourth position, Jesus Baeza, 529 votes there. After that, you have Travis Martinez, who came in with 505 votes, just missing a seat in fifth. Margarita Biggs, only 4 votes behind him at 501. And then you go to Brian Metal at 421. And Enrique Weissel at 382. So hopefully that helps you know the order that they came in there, and you can see the ones that are serving is scrolling across the bottom right there, so you can watch for that. And so obviously, when the voters return the 2 incumbents, that's saying something. And you probably heard me talk with the other guys. You know, we've had some change elections. You were part of a change election, 3 new people in the same year.
Yes.
And so now you go from a change to a, keep it the same election, a status quo election. So what's a different approach when you're in a change election, 3 brand new ones, to a status quo?
That it's going to be a lot with what Matt was saying. We're going to get some new ideas to see, because he was involved in a lot of different things, as well as Food Truck Saturdays. He's kind of worked a little bit with the downtown group. And so we're going to be able to get some of those new, fresh ideas out into, it won't really be the commission unless it's in a commission meeting. So he can speak to us one-to-one, but it can't be about an item that he wants to do. That he'll kind of discuss through the staff, and then it'll be brought up to the commission. But that's going to also be a learning curve for him, potentially. But then at the end of the day, we're going to continue where we're at, making sure we can get those funds for the overpass, making sure we're continuing to build those relationships so we can get grants, so we can network with the state, so we can get more businesses in here. And then while the comprehension plan is happening, that's going to give us basically the direction we're going to really take Liberal, because that's going to come directly from the community. But we have the foundation in place, and I think that's what the community really wants to see is, okay, you have the cement slab down, now show us the house you're going to build with it.
And that's what we're all interested, and excited. And I think that you guys have done a good job of laying that groundwork to set that stage. So we'll be interested to see how that continues forward. And we get to talk with you on Monday with the mayor. So I know we'll get some more chances. We've got some other guys in here to talk with on the school board. But give you the last word. What do you want to say to the voters here tonight now that we're on the other side of the election?
Well, no, the biggest thing is thank you to everyone who came out to vote. Much like Ron and Matt were saying, thank you to anyone who shared any of my posts, anyone who supported me in any way, shape, or form, as well as I hope to continue this progress that we have in the community. And by all means, come out to all of the, not all of them, but whichever one you want to, of the comprehensive plan town halls, and let us know what your ideas are for Liberal, because that's what we're more interested in listening to.
And there's one coming up
November 15th, right?
somewhere in there.
Yeah, November 15th at the Commission Chambers at the Rec Center.
That's a Wednesday, so look forward to come out to that. And I know the 2 things we talked about is get some ideas. Yeah, you can go ahead and kick it off if you want
All
to,
right.
and share that with one of the other school board members, and whoever's next, come on up. But that's Jose Lara. He finished second tonight, 749. He will serve a 4-year term on the Liberal City Commission. He's already served 2 years, so he is re-elected tonight. Advance his cause, and next time he'll work with me on some signs and see what he does better. No, he did a good job, and I think that says a lot. Sometimes for the incumbent, and this is a challenge that Jose had, was if you look at those forums, he was standing on the record, and this is what we've done, this is what's underway, and he was going to put his political future on the line on what that commission has done. So
now he's got 4 years to get it done.
yeah, now all the promises have to be fulfilled, right?
Good luck, Jose.
So now we've got Brad Carr, and Brad, top vote getter tonight for the USD 480 school board,
I
900.
knew you could do that.
And Samuel, he did.
I'm glad you had the faith, Jim. Jim called it, though, I think.
Yeah. I hate to say that. I hate to say that. He called that, but he did. And so now that you're in there, I'm trying to find the bottom third here. But now that you know that you're in there and you've got that election out of the way, I'm sure a little relief, but how do you feel tonight after being the top vote getter?
Oh, it feels good. It feels good. I think anytime you go, you want to be top dog or top vote getter. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what number you are. We got 4 of us in, and so now the real work begins. Starts this weekend. We go to a conference there in Wichita for board membership and what that entails. So we'll take off, and I'm going to miss my first opening day of bird season, and I don't know how long. So we will start this weekend and get after it. But it feels good. It feels good to have the November 7th day over and that countdown.
Well, obviously, you know, now that the election's over, you had some public meetings that you helped sponsor, facilitate to talk about things like CKLA, concerns with the curriculum, things like that. That's either a sink or swim deal. Either people will look at that and say, hey, this guy is, either rebel rousing or this guy's got a point. When you finish top vote getter, what do you think it says?
Kind of validates that. Not out there to ruffle everybody's feathers, or just a concerned parent, and try to get that word out to different other parents that may not know what's going on, or have an idea what's been in the school. So no, it's good to see that support behind it, and I think it'll be good and keep that momentum rolling and be able to represent everybody that voted for me. So.
And obviously, we've talked a little bit here on the city side about change elections or status quo. For the city, it was status quo. Only one new person coming on. For you guys, it's 3 new people coming on. So how do you? That's more what we would consider a change election. Of course, it was going to happen because 3 incumbents chose not to run.
Right.
So, how do you see 3 new faces, 3 new opinions, 3 new viewpoints coming on to the USD? You've been going to the meetings, you know kind of how it works.
Yeah.
So now when you raise your hand or push your button, it matters as opposed to, well, this is what I would do.
Yeah.
So how do you feel that changes the dynamic of the USD 480 board?
I think that's what we've been needing, is a refresh and kind of a new direction, maybe some new life in there. I think it was refreshing to see the amount of parents that were willing to run. Bottom 4, all of us had kids but Mike. So it was refreshing to see there. But I think the change election brings some new ideas, brings some fresh thoughts. We've obviously been living it with our kids in the system, and we'd like to see some of those changes made. I know a lot of it's been transparency, getting some info out, getting meetings recorded, getting it where parents are challenging parents to get more involved in it. So,
well, and you speaking of that, I do want to mention that at one of the forums you brought up, the county has started having town hall meetings. The city has started having some town hall meetings. The college is having town hall meetings, and you kind of mentioned maybe there's something you could do at the school board. I don't know who asked the question. They brought up a veil of silence or veil of secrecy.
Right.
And with this, is it going to continue, or how can do you want to continue that way? What do you want? How are you going to be as a board member now that you've been elected, as far as trying to make the public feel like they kind of know that everything's not done, in the dark.
Right, and I think that's what, what us new candidates and new board members will do, is hey, we're going to hear it. We're obviously got kids going on in the classroom at the same time as other parents. So if they have something that we can get some info back to them and then challenge them, they need to be at a board meeting. We need to look at doing a quarterly town hall. I think every other entity is doing it, so I don't know why we would not want to do it. If it's 1, 2 people that show up, great, but I'd love to see it fill up 20, 40. I think last night you saw it at the board meeting. There was the high school schedule was on the docket, and so there was concerned parents, concerned staff, pro parent. So I mean, these are the conversations we need to have. I think I discussed it, the difficult conversations. They're not fun. Nobody wants to do those, but I think it's time to get that where parents can. I've seen my dad take them. A road out in the county, and there's a whole contingent of people. I want this, I want that. What can you do for me? What can we do? Well, hey, let's listen. Let's see what we can do with it. That's what I'd like to do as a school board member of, hey, what's the concern? What do you got? And then let's see what we can do to address it or fix it for you.
And I see someone in the audience, maybe they can nod if I'm right or wrong. I'll let them decide whether they want to do that or not. But you've heard tonight a little bit about the KLM, the Kansas League. One of my concerns with them is how they are very conservative about interacting with people and that as the board, city. The county has a Kansas Association of Counties, and I think they're very reluctant to talk about opening up too much or letting that. Am I right or wrong? Just nod or yeah, okay, so I get affirmation on that. And the Kansas Association of School Board is no different, in my view, that they may help with, okay, here's how this policy or here's the guidelines of this, but the interactions seem to be like really toned down. And I ran a column on that, and I got a little feedback from a member of from the spokesman of the school board to say, no, they welcome that. But where is it then? Then why are school boards like some of the least amount of public input organizations in the state? But that's how I see it. I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys are going to do. As far as I'm a member of the media, I want the public to be aware of what's happening in the district, and sometimes that's been difficult. First of all, you can tell me if I'm right or wrong, and second, how can that be adjusted?
I think there was a good group of us. We got students at Eisenhower, and they had a site council meeting, and I think they challenged themselves there at that school as everybody invite somebody would be contributing. And she said Mrs. Jones said that was the most parent she's had at one of those. It was promising to see, hey, there are parents that are concerned and willing to put the time in. And we got to voice some of what we thought was going great, some of the things that we were concerned or we were confused about. I think a lot of it was grades. How's the grading working? Your kid goes from a D to a B- and overnight, or how. I know I was with another one, like, you don't have paper and pen, like, you don't have a book? Like, no, it's not. We got it on the computer now. It's tracked almost live. But so it's good to see that kind of stuff that.
Well, I've seen that, in the truancy court. If those kids have to go to the truancy court for, 6 weeks or whatever the period is. But when they come in, most of them have Fs. Very few of them have Ds, some of them, but they're all Ds and Fs. And after a period of being in there and working with with one of the counselors, and their parents are paying attention because one of the parents has to come to court with them. But I've seen those Ds and Fs turn into A's and B's in a matter of 6 weeks just because somebody was paying attention,
right.
And it's too bad that they didn't want to go to school. They could have cared less, and that was the reason they ended up there, because they were late or didn't show up at all. I don't remember what the number of times was. It's 3 or 4. But anyway, that was always amazing to me that those kids would come in there and they were just different people when they left that court. And they showed respect. And I remember been in there a few times, and they always had to come in and sit in front of the jury, which was I don't know, they remember the school board and county commission, the city commission, and I don't remember who all was involved in that, but it was the jury of their peers, and they had to come in and address them and tell them why they were there. And well, there was some of them that could barely speak loud enough you could hear them. I mean, they were just
Little
kind
humble
of
pie.
whispering. Yeah, you know. But you know, by the time they finished and you know told about their experiences and what it had meant to them and how it improved their grades and you know basically changed their life in 6 weeks, and it's just because somebody was paying attention to them.
So Brad, let me ask you this. You talk about like last night, the flex mod scheduling was a deep discussion. You've seen that our numbers are not good as a district. We're not performing very well. People want to see those numbers improve. And you shared some concerns about being a partially certified district, or you know, in the yellow zone. So you know, you're either green, yellow, red, and we're in yellow, and probably not that far from red. So you know, now that you're going to be able to be a voice on that board, what do you know, what approach are you going to look at to bring to the board and with your other board members to try to, you know, reverse that trend and try to get those grades going back up?
Yeah, so part of that site council as well, the chronic absentee rate, that was one. So I think we've attacked it pretty well. Some of the schools were, hey, we're going to reward you with a pizza party, extra recess, whatever it might be. It seemed like it worked. Now we got to get to the grades. We got to get the grades and to the parents of how important these things are. And we've got to start, I think we need to show these charts that our state test year to year where we're at and where we would like to see them. I have looked at the elementary ones. We've started to see maybe some gains or some shallowing out of the curve that we're not on the dive still. So that's promising to see. I think we need to push it a little harder. I know I've mentioned we need to have a little bit more challenge with homework. I know there's been some parents with some posts on social media. You got 8 hours there to get it done. Why can't you do it there? But I think they need not 2 hours of it, but 20, 30 minutes of some extra work. How do you expect to be a great piano player if you don't go home from the teacher and go work at home at it, or a baseball player, or whatever you're trying to obtain? So I think we need some of that extra, and it may not even have to be graded. It just get them some extra practice, extra reps at reading, at math, and that I'm thinking should help. Constantly looking at those, I don't think you can shy away from those numbers. Being able to teach to the test. I know it's gotten harder with some of the state standards and how they're presenting the test. So I think the outfit out of Sublette came down, maybe trying to train us. Hey, how can we teach this? How can we teach better? Maybe get their test scores headed in the right way. I know you don't want to teach to a test, but that test is testing some kind of basic skill that they should be learning. So.
But who doesn't do that? I mean, I don't care if you're learning welding, they're going to show you this is what a good weld is, and you're going to learn to do a good weld by what a good weld is. Yeah. I mean, everything is teaching to a test.
I was just sitting here thinking a very good class, I think the ought to be a requirement, is how to count change back correctly.
My girls were doing it at the concession stand the other day.
Don't just stuff it in my hand and say, here you go.
This is what the computer told me.
I want, and anytime which I don't have to say very much, but anytime I get somebody that counts change back, I tell them how much I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And it, like I say, it doesn't have very much, but.
Just a little tip out there, if it's 7 something, it's 2 something back. Always one less than what if it's a 10. So always one less than what you think, and the change makes up the difference. Just use that as a common rule. You'll probably be close at least. But I mean, how many times I've had to give change back and say that's too much. You're not doing this right, and that. So Brad, it's going to be interesting. We've seen trends across the country. School boards have really been under the microscope more than I think ever in my lifetime that people are paying more attention. I think maybe COVID had something to do with that. What got you to pay more attention and want to get involved? What was it that really sparked you that got you involved with the district?
Yeah, so I think we all know the story of the curriculum, and somebody sharing that to me of, hey, this is what we got coming next year. And then after that, and then researching and going to meetings and kind of seeing, And board members were all great. I could call them at 6, 8 o'clock at night, have a 30-minute, 20-minute conversation, whatever we needed to have. So those open lines there. But just seeing that I've got kids in there, and I want to see, I did not realize we were on an 8-year dive. I did not know. My daughter's on track. She's on pace. That's great. Okay. Hey, why are we losing our top end learners? We're all fading to the middle. Why are we not pushing higher standard? I think I had this conversation today, football team. You know what, we're just gonna be the same old liberal. We can't get this thing turned around. We got a coach in that he's pushing. He wants accountable. He wants, these kids are buying in. I think the standard, we need to set the standard, say this is what we're striving for and this is where we wanna get. And I think with a new board, new 4 members, that we can get some of that in place hopefully, and say, hey, we're not going to be satisfied with the status quo or a deep decline in our test scores.
The only thing I say for our coach is I'll be willing to contribute towards his blood pressure medicine. He gets pretty fired up on the sideline. I get concerned. I'm like, don't pop a vein down here. You know, we need you long term. But no, but that's because he's got expectations.
Right.
And, you know, I look back at this year, you talk about it, you know, I think personal fouls were down from where they've been in the past, things
Right.
like that. And obviously, you know, the wins are up.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what we want to see as a district. We want to see the wins up and the grades up. And,
Right.
and that means sometimes a kid gets pushed a little farther than what they think that they should be. But whoever accomplished anything and then look back and said, well, I'm so glad no one pushed me to this.
Right.
You know, you look back at any time in your life where things went good for you, it's probably because for the first time or something, someone was expecting you to do something you didn't think you could probably do, and you had to step up to it. And so did you ever think, as you know, you got kids, you served on Kids Inc. for a long time, and you know, so you've been a public servant for a while, but did you ever think, I'm going to run for office before this?
No, I'd be it in the banking world. I thought, nope, that's never a thing I'm going to even attempt or be willing to do. But boss said, yeah, go ahead, go for it. You'd be great at it and have some good input. So, like I said, I've always liked the politics, kind of watching that, keep up with national, local, state.
That don't run in the family, does it?
Look out, liberal, here we come.
Well, hey, you know, I was just thinking, we had several bankers ran. You're the only banker, I think, that won tonight.
You know, that was interesting. Out of all of our forums, we never had a finance question. There was no tax question. So,
Well, we're trying to set up in here where we can ask some more of those type questions in the future. So don't think you get by on that again. You know, you got lucky this time around. That may not be the case moving forward. We want to ask some questions that may not be what your favorite color is. I mean, we're going to ask some things, but so I'll give you a last word here, and then we'll get Baez up here. But what do you want the voters to know now that you are school board elect?
I just first want to thank my family, my mom, my dad. They're here. My wife, my 3 daughters. It's been a long haul. They've been out hitting streets with me, putting signs out. Took them to some meetings with me. So they've been a very big piece of it.
Your exciting date. Hey, what are you doing tonight? Let's go to a meeting.
Go put some
Cheap
signs
date,
out.
right? My church family, the GOP, I want to give them a shout out. They were out there sponsoring us, candidates that were running. But I'm ready to get to work. I think I've been to meetings for almost a full year now, close to. So I kind of have an idea what's going on, where we're at, what we need to be doing coming up. We got to look for a new superintendent. You know, Dr. Carter resigned, so that'll be put our stamp of approval on that, get somebody in, and see what that leads to. But I'm gonna be ready. I'm gonna be dedicated and ready to get in there and do my work. Like I said, be committed.
Was his resignation, is it for the end of the year? Did he put a time on that?
June
or is it
30th.
June 30th.
June
So yeah,
30th.
so you got time to go through the process, and you'll be a part of that. And also, I guess I do have one more for you before you head out, but You know, they're going to probably be taking a vote on the flex mod. They may even take a vote on, you know, solidifying CKLA before you get a chance to be on there. Do you think that those are carved in stone? Is that something that you may want the new board to get a chance to reconsider? Where do you sit on those?
I think CKLA was kind of handled last year. That was done, and we've got the opt-out process. I think there's still some more communication that we could have going on to let parents know. So I think, I mean, that's kind of a mute, kind of see where that goes and see how our scores do with that when we have it for 5 years. High school, I think that one's still to be determined. I know the staff voted 68-50. I was really disappointed in a parent involvement. I think we sent 1,477 emails with a survey, and we had 50 replies back. So I don't know where that fell, if it just parents weren't opening it or seeing it. So again, parent involvement, this is your chance to say what you like or don't like about it. So, but if the current board votes on it next month, let them put their stamp on it, and we'll roll with what we have. If we get a chance to vote on it, get in there and dig in. You know, we've been hearing from the outside what parents have told us. I've told a lot of people. I take a poll. I should have had an Excel sheet, but parent, student, staff, whatever it might be. What do you like? Do you like it? What should be changed? What's a typical headache or a hurdle that you're faced with it? So that I think there is some of that. We need to listen to some of the teachers of what the pros are from it. I think Stu Cobble said last night, you know, maybe can you do 9th and 10th like a regular middle school and then maybe push this 11, 12? I don't know. So that'll be definitely one with the turnout we had with parents, staff. That'll be the next one to tackle and see what we got, and put our time and effort into that and see where everybody would like to go with it, and get the parent. I would like to see the parents get involved.
Well, we'll be watching, and we'll be rooting. We'll be rooting for you guys. We want you to succeed. We want the district to succeed, and so we'll be excited to see where you guys take it, and hopefully see those test scores coming up. So congratulations, Brad.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Look forward to working with you as you continue to
Jim,
serve
thank
the
you.
public.
Appreciate it.
I'll let you kick that off, and then, well, we might only have one more to go. Come on up, Jesus. We got Jesus Baeza. He was elected tonight to the USD 480 School Board, 529 votes, just 30 short of the third place seat, but 4 people get in, and you're one of those 4,
Yes,
so
sir.
congratulations.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
So now that you're going to be serving on the USD 480 School Board, you're on the other side of the election now. What's your initial thoughts?
I think my initial thoughts is, you know, some of the way of campaigning has came off, but not the way of, you know, performing and getting in there and doing what we promised to do, to be out there to represent everybody in our district. So now the pressure's on to, you know, get in there, understand it, educate myself, and make sure that, you know, we put in the work that needs to be put in to make our district successful.
Well, I remember going to a CKLA meeting earlier in the year, and you were at that meeting.
Yes.
And you were, you know, contributing. What was it that inspired you to go ahead and put your name out there and to seek a seat on the school board?
Honestly, one of the things that did, the CKLA, you know, deal came up. I was a concerned parent. I did speak on that, but after that, it started really growing on me, knowing that, you know, maybe I should get back to what was given to me at one point, and that was great teachers, great principals, a great support system from the school system. I was a kid that was came in at 4th grade, didn't know no English, so I know how difficult it is, and I also know that very easily you can get lost if you don't have those type of people.
Well, Jim Rice has been around longer than 4th grade, but we're still working on his English, so don't feel too bad about that. So, you know, when you look at coming on and what you want to try to help influence, what do you see as some of the priorities coming into the school board?
One of my priorities would be to try to get, you know, the transparency side of it. I want to try to get our meetings to be, on Facebook, to be able to have people that are a little bit busier that can't make it in to still be connected. Because a lot of the times we are asking for parent involvement, but we're also not having them in Spanish. We're not having them out there for people to see them at home. And then if they see a concern, then they can make a meeting. But I think one of the main things is getting out there and seeing what we can do to get us out there, let people be accountable for some of the decisions they make. And that would be including me now.
Well, and so let's talk about that. There's two questions I have for you about a little bit of involvement, but one of them, and Brad talked a little bit about, that survey, but as someone from the outside looking in now, all my kids have graduated, but I remember, when they're young and you go to the parent-teacher conferences, there's a lot of people rolling through the hall and stuff, but when you get to the high school, it's like that just dries up. It's like a handful of people show up to even get input anymore. I mean, what can be done to get the parents involved to understand that they play a vital role in where that kid's going to succeed or fail based on what's happening in the classrooms and what role they continue to play.
And I think that comes down to, once again, putting that role back on the parents, putting back to have somewhat of a pressure from our parents to be involved. I think what has happened is our education system has kind of taken over, and if they haven't got heard, they stop really being involved. And the thing is, we really do need to sit there and tell parents, your input, your help is really what's going to drive us too. Yes, the board can be excellent, the administration can be excellent, teachers can be excellent, but parents, they get them the rest of the day. They got to be as involved and dedicated to their children's education as we are.
And I mentioned this kind of thing in my column a couple weeks ago, but that's my concern is you can follow policy to the letter of the law and still end up with a failing outcome.
Yes.
And so what are you going to be willing to do to get us to successful outcomes?
I think a lot of it is getting realigned with everybody, making sure that we're all in the same process, the same boat. We're all rolling through the same goal, and a lot of times that, through what I've heard from teachers, administration, there has been a separation, and it's hard to move this district forward when we got division. I think we needed to all come together to remember, once again, this is for our children's future. I'm sure I'll get old and I'll be gone, but then my kids are the ones that are going to be representing the next liberal, the next, you never know, the next 480.
Jim thought that he was going to move on too, and look,
I did, and I ended up back here somehow.
he's still here.
Yeah.
But that last thing I had, I should ask Brad. I gave Brad a break on this one, but you've been on that side where you had some concerns and maybe felt a little frustrated about, were you being heard or that kind of thing. Now that you're on the other side of the desk, it's one thing when you're out in the audience. Now you're on the other side of the desk, and
Yes.
and I wonder, I could even ask maybe the elder Carr what it was like as candidate Carr versus commissioner Carr, and whether that, now that you're sitting there looking out at the audience instead of being the audience looking up. But
Yeah.
but how can you what can you do about the approach from the board side? Would you be willing to engage with someone who maybe comes and has an issue at a board meeting?
Yes, like I said, I got to get in there and learn. I'm sure there's policies and rules we got to follow. But the thing is, it's just like that. When this concern first came up, we felt like we stated our concern and it wasn't driven. Yes, we got to a result, and I'm thankful for that. But I want to make sure that if a parent comes in there, he knows that, we are taking their concern seriously, and that we're not just tossing it over our shoulder and going on with what we have to do.
We haven't talked about this on the news, Jim, but I should have brought it up. But there was a district where a parent came to a school board meeting, and the president of the board shut them down. They sued and they won. And there are First Amendment rights, and that there's a difference between a policy and a statute. A statute's the law, and you have to follow statute. A policy is something you guys can consider on what rules you want to set for yourself. So just
Correct.
Remember, as you guys are new coming in, is that a policy that you like of how you interact with the public? And maybe it's something to revisit, because I mean, when you have questions about the veil of secrecy, that's a black eye you don't want. And you guys aren't judged on that. You're brand new. But in next election, you'll be judged on that.
Correct.
And so, what are you going to, what approach are you going to take here in the next 4 years? We'll be watching and seeing it. But so, Brad, you got lucky. I didn't hit you up with that. But looking forward to seeing how maybe you can get engagement that people feel like the board is willing to engage with the public.
Yes, and that's one of the deals that I think with new people coming in there. I think we're standing for that. We were all wanting to have more clearancy through some of that stuff. So I think there is some things to look into to see what we can change. Like you said, policy can be changed. And if there is, I would really like to have that change, just because if it's a concern to a parent, it should be a concern to me too.
And so, Jesus, I also want to say you had the best signs of the year. I give you the Sign of the Year award. Those were the best signs. They had the apple, they had the colors, they had the structure, top notch. Look, you finished fourth. Bad sign would have got you like Jose Lara, almost cost you the position. So congratulations that you had good signs and that got you over the hump and got you in the seat. So
Yes,
I give you the last word. What do you want the voters and the public to know about you as you're now on this side of the election?
Well, I'm just really thankful to be given this opportunity to be able to represent you. The GOP for supporting me and giving me some pointers. I really want to thank everybody that voted for me. I'm going to represent you right, and also know that now that I am in, I'm not only representing those people that have voted for me, but those people that didn't vote for me. I also going to represent you to the fullest. I'm here to work hard, to put in the work, to be able to represent every child and every member of our great district. And just to let them know, teachers, we're there for you. We want to hear from you. We want you guys' involvement. We need the staff. We just need to come together into, I think, what could be a great district where people want to move to liberal just because we have a solid district.
Well, we look forward to that, and we look forward to what you guys do as you come into the board. And congratulations.
Hey, thank you, sir.
Look forward to your service. We'll let you step down and go get to be with your family and enjoy the evening.
Yes,
you
sir.
can kick that thing off, because we don't want to hear what you may say about this out there. It may not be as pleasant as what you had to say up here.
Maybe we give that to his wife, and she
Yeah,
can tell us what she thinks.
Yeah, I think, did she have a hand in designing? I think she had a hand
Yeah.
in designing the sign. So
Yeah,
campaign manager right
that's
there.
right. That's
So
good.
successful night. Thank you to Stacia Long for posting the abstract of the election results. So if you didn't get to see them all and you want to see them, just scroll on down and you'll see them down there. That'll wrap up our coverage tonight. You have, for the city of Liberal, the top three vote getters, the three winners tonight: Ron Warren, Jose Lara, and Matt Landry. The four for USD 480, Brad Carr, Mike Brock, Kaylee Ruiz, and Jesus Baeza will be taking the seats on those. For the rest of the results, just check out below. You'll see them all down there. Jim, I'll let you have your last word for the night. What a night, a status quo election for the city and a change election for the school board, and actually one new seat flip-flopped on the Board of Trustees with Kelly Hill coming in the third position, and incumbent Kay Bertzloff not making the cut tonight. So how do you measure up all the results?
Well, I think that's the people spoke, and some liked changes in some of the boards, and some didn't. But I still think it all comes back to the transparency thing, like we've been talking about. The more people know about what these boards are doing, the easier it is to to manage the board, I think, and I think it's important. And if they know what you're doing, it doesn't cause near the troubles as if people are suspicious. That's all there is to it. They're mighty suspicious about, well, why are you doing this or why are you doing that? But you know, if you come out and are very transparent and open with the policies and the procedures that you can be open and transparent with, you know, I think people not only appreciate that, but you know, that possibly could lead to greater involvement. You know, you talked about that, you know, about how to get the people out. Well, you know, if you don't really know anything about what's going on, well, why are you going to get involved? But if you hear a little bit about, well, you know, we're doing this or we're doing that, we're trying to do this and we need some help, I think then, you know, that parent involvement might come about because they have an idea what you're trying to accomplish. So anyway, I wish all you guys good luck and congratulations to everybody that came down here tonight, and you know, look forward to, you know, if we can help you, we'll be glad to do that. And you know, come back and see us. Come back and let's talk some more.
And I know we've still got some school folks here and the county folks too. The door is open.
Yep.
You know, this seat is open. We're willing to just like we do with the city and
This
the,
one
and
can
the
be
college.
too, because I can move right over there and sit in a comfortable chair.
we invite the county and the school to come and talk about, you know, upcoming issues, challenges,
Yep.
any of that. So, you know, visit with your boards or your staff out there, and we're willing. This is what I always say. If people don't know what's going on, they'll make it up.
Yeah.
And it's much better to let them know what's going on
Yep.
than to let them make up something, because that's more than likely not the truth.
Yeah.
We'd rather get the truth out there. So thanks for sticking with us tonight. It was a great crowd, a lot of people, a lot of feedback on the thread tonight. So thank you all for participating. Jim and I will be back at 7:30 in the morning, so that's 10 hours away.
Well, you know, that's good.
So that's all we have for you tonight from Liberal with the election results. We'll be back with you some more analysis in the morning. Until then, this is Earl with the Leader in Times with Jim Rice saying, when you live in Liberal,
Or Dumas, Arkansas.
there's no place like home. Have a great evening, everybody.